it's Chi-Town, it's Bears on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the likes.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Bears fans, before we go any further with today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, and that is BetUS. As always, Bears fans, make sure you guys head over to betus.com and use promo code YouTube150 for a 150% deposit bonus up to $2,000, and also get 125% second and third deposits as well. If you guys think the Chicago Bears being 10-point underdogs against the Lions on Thursday for the Thanksgiving matchup in Detroit can pull off an upset, go place your bet on the Chicago Bears. I'm not too confident in that, but like I said, anything can happen on any given football game. So Bears fans, we are back for a week 13 pregame show of the Bears versus Lions matchup on Thanksgiving. And once again, I am joined by Isaiah Fry. How you doing, Isaiah?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I wasn't too emotional about the last loss. You know, that's the Bears' 5th loss in a row. And I was just telling you before we started recording that I found it really funny that prior to the game, there was someone on social media just saying, you know, how will the Bears lose this week in dramatic fashion? And people were giving their scenarios, but I would find this last loss to the Vikings pretty dramatic for the Bears. Just add it to the list of dramatic losses for the Bears this season. So what's your initial reaction to that game?
Yeah, it's just, it's at this point, it's not surprising. I think they always say bad teams find a way to lose, and this is what we're watching in real time, unfortunately. It sucks to watch, though, because it's like if 3 or 4 of these games go the other way, in the right way for them, then we're talking playoffs. So
Yeah.
I know as a fan, it's probably super frustrating to watch this unfold right now, and it sucks.
And it's really just the way that they're losing. You mentioned that you actually turned the game off because they were down by 11,
Yeah.
27-16 with like a minute and a half to go. They end up scoring 21 seconds left. Got the 2-point conversion, got the onside kick, which that was the first onside kick recovered. So you're like, okay, maybe the football gods are on their side. They get the 48-yard field goal, tie the ball game, send it to overtime, go 3 and out, and then the rest is history. So it was just another traumatic loss for the Chicago Bears. And it's funny because, analysts are saying, this was like the perfect scenario because Caleb Williams, once again, is getting better every single week under Thomas Brown. And really, that's all that matters. Even though the Chicago Bears continue to lose in these terrible ways, your franchise quarterback is playing well because at this moment, we know that we have our quarterback, but you're losing. So that's also good because you can hopefully finally fire your head coach and Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, it's inevitable. I mean, he's going to get fired, so that's no question behind that. But yeah, Caleb's playing lights out right now, man. He's fun to watch. He's looking like himself at USC, and he's just improving every week, man. His feel for the pocket, knowing when to step up, knowing when to scramble, knowing when to make plays with his legs. It's good to watch, man. I think Bears fans should be excited what he has in store, not only for the end of this year, but for moving on to next year.
Yeah, so I really want to get your reaction because prior to that game against the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday, Chairman George McCaskey was actually out with the fans in their tailgate. I'm talking to fans, and of course, fans were letting him hear it. He got some boos, and there were some fans saying, "Hey, fire Eberflus," like right in his face, and he kept saying, "I know," like almost like changes are coming. In a way, right? George McCaskey has a good way of making it seem like he cares about what the fans want. But at the same time, how do you take that reaction or that interaction that he was having with the Bears fan base prior to that game?
For one, I think it's stupid. I don't know why, as a chairman of an organization, that you go out there and have these conversations with the fans because it's not going to be positive. I think he's smart enough to understand that there's a lot of angry fans out there. So in my mind, thinking about it, I think he's thinking ahead of kind of trying to save face for his own self to make him more likable. But I mean, the facts are the facts, man. He took over in 2011, and it hasn't been good since. Starting off with firing Lovey in 2012. So I don't like it. I think it's dumb, and I think he's putting on a face for the fans right now to save his own.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things that there's a lot of Bears fans calling for his job, right? Saying
Right.
it's probably about time for the McCaskies to sell. At this point, just like you mentioned, ever since he took over in 2011, it has not been good. I think the Bears been to one NFC title game, maybe not. Probably won a cup, maybe two division titles under his tenure. Multiple GMs, multiple head coaches, and just bad football all the way around. So it kind of bothered me when I saw that video. Because he's trying to act concerned, but at the end of the day, all he cares about is money, right? And
Right.
it's like he's not really trying to make real changes to this organization. And if he really wants fans to get on the side, fire Matt Eberflus in during the season. I understand they have this tradition saying, "Oh, just let him play it out." No, we all know it's inevitable, right? He's going to be fired. I think he should have been fired after that Arizona Cardinals game a couple weeks, or when he lost to the New England Patriots 19-3, one of the worst teams in the National Football League. But instead, you continue on with this lame duck head coach that has no answers for his locker room at this moment, and now you want to come out and try to talk to the fans. I don't really like it, Isaiah.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny because I think if you were to ask Coach Eberflus what he would want, I'm pretty sure his answer would be how I want to be fired right now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure this isn't good for him as well either, because he knows the inevitable is coming. So sometimes it's good just to cut ties early. For not only the organization but for the coach as well. Sometimes they just need some time to get away and breathe and get their ducks in order, their mind back right, and then he can come back and look for a defensive coordinator job next year. So,
Right. And I think the final straw for me in terms of Matt Eberflus is like, once again, we talk about him having no answers. And in the press conference, I think it was either today or yesterday, he threw a challenge flag on a big time play to Jordan Addison. First play of the second half went for 69 yards. Addison clearly didn't step out of bounds. He still throws the challenge flag. And when the reporters asked him, like, "Hey, Eberflus, why did you throw that challenge flag?" He said, "Because it was an explosive play." So you didn't have any evidence that he stepped out of bounds. You threw a challenge flag because it was a big play. And that's where you're starting to think, like, is he crazy? Is he doing this on purpose because he knows he's going to get fired? Like, what's going on in Eberflus's mind right now? So my question for you, Isaiah, and we kind of talked a little bit about this, is do you think it would be smart for the Chicago Bears, because I feel like this is what some good organizations, or at least smart organizations, do, is to just let go of Matt Eberflus probably prior to the Detroit Lions game, especially if the Lions come out and beat us by 30, and just let Thomas Brown finish out the year to see what you actually have in Thomas Brown as a head coach?
I'm not against them letting go Eberflus. Yeah, you can give Thomas Brown an opportunity to be the intern. I don't think that has any bearing on him potentially getting hired
Okay.
by the Bears next year. I
Mhm.
think that's out. I think that's completely out, actually.
Yeah.
I do think he's doing a good job of building his resume up to potentially get an actual offensive coordinator job next year on a different team. Um, but the Bears need a big time hire next year, man. And we spoke about it last week. Matt, Variable as a guy, Ben Johnson, obviously. But they need one of those two guys to come in and change the culture of the team, man. Because I just don't see. I don't see what they. I don't see what they can have right now and move forward with it. I don't see it working. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talk about all these great offensive minded coordinators. Ben Johnson, Joe Brady, the OC from the Buffalo Bills, is definitely
Mhm.
a candidate. Cliff Kingsbury, because of his connection with Caleb Williams back to his USC days. So the Bears will have their pick of the litter, and I think you also have to think about PR as well. You want to
Right.
get fans excited. And even though it seems like Thomas Brown would probably be the logical move, because let's say he finishes out the year and Caleb Williams is balling, he already has the rapport with the offense and Caleb Williams. It seems like it's too good to be true, but at the same time, I get where you're coming from in terms of you need that big time hire. And when you have a guy like Ben Johnson, you don't see like a guy like Ben Johnson becoming available this
No.
often. And it seems like the Bears finally have the opportunity
Yeah.
to get it right with a guy like Johnson.
Yeah. You got to take advantage of that. That dude is coaching his butt off right now in Detroit, and if he even wants to come to Chicago, even just the inkly amount of want to, you take you offer him what he wants and you bring him out there, man. But I'm not against. Who's to say that Thomas Brown can't get an offensive coordinator job? And let's say that they hire Vrabel, and one of the stipulations to hiring Vrabel is, okay, you got to keep Thomas Brown as the offensive coordinator if he continues to do as well as he's been doing these last couple of weeks. So I'm not against that either.
Right. Overall, I'm excited to see, and just in general, for Thomas Brown, and see how he continues to develop Caleb
Right.
Williams, because Caleb Williams is playing some of his best football over these past couple weeks, and he continues to get better. Some of the throws he's making, I love the creativity we're seeing from Thomas Brown as a play caller. I mean, either way, it's really good for his resume. Rather he becomes the Bears' long-term OC or head coach or not.
Mhm.
I'm excited to see where Thomas Brown takes things from here for the rest of the season. Right. So
For sure, man. Yeah, you could tell he's a motivated coach right now, man, and that's always a good thing.
yeah, for sure. And you just love his aura as well. That's what Caleb Williams was saying as well.
Yeah.
So speaking of Ben Johnson, we get to play him on Thursday. So currently, like you heard me at the start of the show, the Bears are a 10-point underdog going against the best team in the NFL. Yes, I believe the Lions are the best team in the NFL, not just the NFC, sitting at 10-1. The Bears are currently on a 5-game losing streak, staying at 4-7. I do want to mention that the Lions historically have never been good on Thanksgiving. The Bears have actually beaten the Detroit Lions the last 3 Thanksgiving matchups. So I think Detroit's going to probably take that personal and try to break that trend and probably try to embarrass the Chicago Bears on Thursday, because that's what they've been doing all season long. But what's your initial thoughts about this matchup on Thursday?
10 points sounds about right. Yeah, that's a big line, but it sounds about right with the way Detroit's playing right now. And it's weird, man, because early in the season, we talked about how good this defense was. Ours, talking about Chicago's, but going to this game, you're not worried about the offense as much as you are the defense now. And I
Crazy,
think
right?
we spoke about it before we got on here, man. It just, like you said, you hit it right on the head before the stream. It looks like he just doesn't care in the plays he's calling. Like he knows he's on his way out, and it's unfortunate, man, because that defense was the saving grace of this team, and they're not playing well right now. And going against Ben Johnson's offense is not going to be pretty.
Yeah, it's actually funny that you bring that up. How our defense was kind of like our saving grace early on. I remember one of the first videos we did early on in the season. I actually have it posted on my Instagram right now. It was you saying I still have a lot of confidence in this offense, and we both agreed that once the offense catches up, this team is unstoppable. But now it's like the offense is doing better, but now the defense is regressing, and that's for the longest time. That's why we thought Eberflus would probably still have a chance to be the head coach beyond this year, because how well the defense is playing. But now they're regressing. You can't sit here and tell me that losing one guy in Jaquan Brisker is the reason why your defense is regressing, especially when you're looking at some of the play calls and just how he's being so conservative. He's almost like he's coaching not to win, to win football games, just being really, really conservative. It's costing the Chicago Bears defense in a huge way. And now you're going into a situation. The Bears haven't been good against the run all season long. Against the run, they're 20th. And now you're facing some of the 2 best backs, or one of the best duos in the National Football League, in Gibbs and Montgomery.
Yeah,
it can get ugly quick.
It can, man, and yeah, on national television while people are at home full eating their food. Oh man, yeah, it might not be pretty.
I think I told you, when we were talking about the schedule early on, when I found out that we were playing the Lions on Thanksgiving, I'm like, they're going to ruin my Thanksgiving, aren't they? And I also have a little bit of fear, and I know Bears fans have a little bit of this fear as well, that something tells me that for some reason they win this football game and it saves Eberflus's job somehow. Because when you beat someone like this, it's almost like, it makes you start second guessing. But I'm hoping that's not the case.
Yeah, don't fall for the trap, man. If they do happen to pull out a win on this Thursday, man, it's just a fluke, and wouldn't put too much stock in it, honestly.
Right. So, talking a little bit more about Detroit's offense, they're one of the best in the league, and this is going to be good for Ryan Poles to hopefully see his next head coach for Chicago and Ben Johnson go to work. They're second in total yards. They're 6th in passing yards. They're 4th in rushing yards. They're 1st in points per game. I'm saying at 32.7 points a game. So they score points. They're explosive. Even that one game against Houston where Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions, they still found a way to win that football game. That just shows you how resilient that football team is under Dan Campbell. And I have to give it to Dan Campbell. I laughed at him a couple of years ago when he said, we're going to bite kneecaps off, right? And he has turned Detroit into a powerhouse. But you also have to give a lot of credit to Ben Johnson as well for what he's been able to do with Jared Goff and this Lions offense.
Absolutely. Dan Campbell, man, I just love the way he coaches. He's a football guy, and you can tell. And the culture he's developed over there, man, is spreading on every facet of their team, offense, defense, and special teams. You can just see it, man. Those dudes fight, and they're intentional about what they do, man. And that's just something that Chicago can go hope to get in the
Yeah.
future here in the next year, man, because he's doing a great job over there.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And now when we flip our mindset now to Caleb Williams, because, a lot of Bears fans are saying, you know what, we don't care about wins and losses at this point. We just want to see Caleb Williams prove once again why he was the number one pick and prove that we finally have a quarterback. He's been proving that over the last couple of weeks against two pretty good defenses in Green Bay and the Vikings. You think about what Brian Flores has meant to that Vikings defense. They blitzed the hell out of Caleb Williams and Thomas Brown, and they had to answer every single time. Now you look at, to me, a very vulnerable Detroit Lions defense, especially in the secondary as well. They're 25th against the pass, giving up 227 yards a game. Do you think Caleb Williams and Thomas Brown and the Bears offense will be able to take advantage of that this week?
Possibly. I think that stat's a little skewed for them because they've been up in so many games, and that kind of it hurts their rankings because a lot of teams are playing from behind against them. But yeah, that definitely is something that to look forward to. I think they can take advantage of it slightly. But I wouldn't put too much stock in it just for the simple fact of what I just said. That ranking is hard to gauge with them because they have been playing so well and they've been up on so many teams.
Yeah, all in all, I do personally think that Caleb Williams can have another pretty big game. I'm not saying it's going to come out and turn out to be a win, but I think Caleb Williams is starting to prove that once you get him a good coach, you continue to build the offensive line. He's that type of quarterback that you always have confidence in. Even when you're down by 11 points, you still have a chance
Right.
to win football games, right? And I think people are starting to realize that the Bears possibly finally got it right at the quarterback position. Now they just need a head coach.
Absolutely. That's what they're missing.
There's missing that one piece, right? So, Isaiah, I don't think we have anything more to talk about. We all know what we're going into. Detroit Lions are Super Bowl favorites, and I expect them to get there. And I don't think this should be an issue for Detroit on Thursday. But go ahead and give me your prediction for this football game.
I got Detroit winning 31-17.
Okay. Yeah, I actually got Detroit winning. I'm going to say 34. I'm going to say 34-16. I want to say 34-16. I think Caleb Williams in offense, I think they're going to come out pretty hot, actually, especially on offense. I can't really speak for the Bears defense right now because it's like a mixed bag right now for the Bears defense. But in terms of offense, I think they're going to come out hot, swinging, and, Detroit's going to start running the football and, owning a time of possession and just kind of beating down our defense, and it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
So, Bears fans, as always, go ahead and comment your score prediction down below in the comment section. But once again, Isaiah, thank you so much for tuning in with me on today's episode of Kick on the Mic.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. As always, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Kick on the Mic with every single Bears fan you know. And once again, make sure you guys head over to betus.com and use promo code YouTube150 for a 150% deposit bonus up to $2,000, and also get 125% second and third deposits if you guys happen to think the Bears can come away with the upset win over the Detroit Lions on Thursday. But other than that, we're back for an all-new Bears podcast right here on Kick on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
Bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic.